forms a really nice backdrop to the garden. Okay, we'll keep moving on here. There's an open fence design, which allows for more sun in the garden, allows better airflow, allows neighbors when that time comes to pick the berries or either the fruit. I have thornless berries grown at the bottom of this fence along its entirety. I have roses that are there. I have other things that bloom. So you kind of see it's kind of nice from both sides. It's nice to be able to share what you've done with other people, particularly with your neighbors. Fremont Philodendron here. Keep walking down here. It's a little seating area over here. A little more intimate areas. We have some really small areas with some small benches, like 1 or 2 people can sit there. Again, you can sit 2 people, you can bring up some chairs, and you can sit up to 4 people on this bench here. So a lot of different sort of vignettes, that I would call them, that are sort of sprinkled throughout the garden. And here, coming across the main part of the garden, we saw from the opposite side. This is my vegetable area here. Eventually I want to get it terraced. A couple things with terracing, obviously easier access. Stones are great in terms of absorbing heat. And that heat, when it gets absorbed, radiates the soil. A lot of times you can plant things much sooner when you have stones embedded in the soil. So that'll be a project for the future. These arches that I added just gives more interest to the garden. They're rebar with PVC covering them, and they're painted this aqua color, which is a very unusual color. It really stands out. And then we have these beams that are run on them. So it gives you sort of these little frames to look through. So it's, again, I'm very happy it's turned out really nice. Let's continue down here. So we have passed, meander, wander around, and having done that, it creates this sort of area of the garden. And within the garden, I like to have vegetable gardens so that they're part of the overall landscape. And the way I achieve this is by not putting just edibles in, but putting perennials and things that are evergreen. Like I have these nandinas here, which look good year-round, and then some daylilies down there. But it doesn't look like your typical vegetable garden. It's just another interesting spot. And I think a lot of people, if I didn't point out vegetable garden, they wouldn't know it's a vegetable garden. They would just say, "Hey, this looks really great. I love how you planted these vegetables in this spot." So, yeah, that's what I like to do. There's a whole drift of Peruvian lilies. And here in the center part of the garden, I created a large bench. And I wanted a major focus point for the garden space, and I wanted something that would not only be interesting, but also that would be comfortable. And even though I'd never seen it before, I wanted my stone bench, which is pretty large, I wanted it to be comfortable to sit on, and I did that by inclining it. There's an incline with the seats down here on the base, and then the back of it inclines as well. So it's for most people's thinking, it's kind of like a seat that you would have in a movie theater, where it inclines, and how comfortable these are. And it's just really amazing how comfortable these are, even without the pillows, to be sitting on a stone bench. And being that it's stone, and this was like an added bonus, the stone absorbs the heat during the summertime when the sun's hitting it, and then it radiates it back there. So when you're sitting on a stone bench in the evening time, if you're drinking a glass of wine or what have you, and relaxing, it radiates the heat and just makes your body feel great. sort of connects you to the earth, if you will. In front of us, there's this brightly colored shed. It's got to stain this really nice orange color with the purple battens, and then on the roof, what I've done, again, that sort of undulating pattern of curves that I like so much, is the rolled roofing that we put out. We've cut it and put it down so there's sort of this undulating feel to it, almost like this movement that you can see in it. And it has, again, a sort of a whimsical feature, and off to the side, there's a privet that's shaped, and it's like a topiary, like a big topiary. Again, it gives a little fun to the whole space. We'll continue on. They go uphill and around the oak tree there. We'll go and take path number one, the upper path. At the base of the oak tree, I set out what was really kind of leftover stone material. And I thought, wow, I need to do something with the stone material I have left over. So again, create another spiral. And I like my spirals. And create another spiral around the oak tree. So it has a really interesting design to it. Walk up the hill. Got some terraces that have fruit trees on them. You have some of my plant material. So we have lots of fruit trees on here. It's a really sunny part of the garden. Plant material that I use for my clients planted underneath. And when I'm no longer doing that, I'll be able to remove the plants and plant vegetables underneath. So it'll really be this great sort of sense of abundance here with the fruit trees and the vegetables planted underneath of it. That time is coming, which is really great. Down here, which I've done this year, and I'm sort of loving every minute as I'm seeing this stuff mature, is I planted a lot of melons here, zucchini and watermelon, Crenshaw melon, things that I've never planted in the garden before. I mean, not only do I like those things and like to eat them, but I like that sort of that idea that I want to see actually these plants like cascading over the wall. This sort of, again, this sort of sense of abundance, a sense of, I mean, it brings me back to my childhood in a lot of ways when I first grew my first bean plant. And from there, I would share with a neighbor below. We'd make these sort of mud castles and I'd plant beans in them. And it was like this fun sort of adventure that we had. And so I'm able to do that as an adult to some extent, where I've got these big walls that I planted, of course on a bigger scale, and I've planting all these vining melons that are going to creep around and going to cascade over the wall. It's just really exciting. So you can see some of these are zucchini, we got a watermelon growing, zucchini again. Down below, we'll get in another way. There's some espalier fruit trees, which are nice, but we'll get into that in another video. And then another shot. Again, even though this is my vegetable, becoming like part of my vegetable area, we have some other ornamentals in the garden, which are nice. And then you can look up, you can see how the pathways sort of curve up and kind of draw your eye up to the bench. And eventually that bench, above that bench, we're going to have an arbor, so it stands out a little bit more. And that's pretty much it. So I appreciate you joining me on this first visit to my garden. We're kind of giving an overview of the garden. And let me know what you think. Get back to me with your comments. Let me know what else you want me to. Let me know what else you want to see on the garden tour. Until then, we'll say goodbye.